Well, the OU Texas game is over, and although most of the Oklahoma delegation are Oklahoma State alumni, they still support the Sooners. From our News on 6 Washington Bureau, Scott Mitchell and Alex Cameron have this week's DC Debrief.
Good morning, Alex. So OU Texas is behind us, but there was an entire week where OU Texas consumed Washington. Yeah, I know we're leading with this. People go, what? Because it's such a big deal, right? And the delegation gets into it.
Oh, they definitely do. I mean, our delegation, certainly only, let's see, Tom Cole, OU grad. I think that may be it. So Stephanie Bice, Frank Lucas, Josh Burkeen, all OSU people. But this week, they're all OU fans, that's for sure. They're not going to root for Texas. But, maybe no member of the delegation, perhaps in history, I don't know, I can't say that. But, Tom Cole is obviously a huge OU fan. He goes to a lot of the games. He's told me some stories about how even when he's stuck up here, he's been here having to do some stuff, negotiate bill budgets and things like that. But he'll find a way to put the OU game on so he can be watching.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about something that's captivated the state. You're reporting from the Supreme Court this week, Oklahoma versus Glossip, an appeal to the Supreme Court. Every legal analysis that I've seen, first off, it's very complicated. So help us understand what just happened at the Supreme Court, who was there, and what you think is next.
What happened is I sat down this week with Attorney General Gentner Drummond, and he explained to me that when he took office, he examined all 28 death row cases that the state had at that time. And he says when he got to Glossip, some things jumped out at him. And after looking much more closely at the case, he concluded that the prosecution, the state, had withheld potentially important evidence that he believes could have caused the jury to come to a different conclusion than it did. Specifically, this had to do with medication that Justin Sneed, the man who admitted to actually carrying out the murder of Barry Van Treese in 1997, but he says it was a murder for hire, that Richard Glossip paid him up to $10,000 to do it, that Glossip was the one behind this. But that Sneed was taking medication, lithium, for psychiatric issues, and that this was never made clear during the trial when the prosecution knew this full well, that Sneed actually lied on the stand. And so, Drummond says to me, look, I don't want to do this. I actually think that Glossip is guilty, but we're potentially going to put a man to death here who has not had a fair trial, and we can't do that. And so he wants to, have the Supreme Court vacate the conviction, toss out the death sentence, and then he'll potentially retry Glossip. Now, he hasn't committed to absolutely doing that, but that's kind of how he's, going forward with this. We'll have to just wait and see, but it definitely, I know, is causing some hard feelings. The Van Treese family, as you can imagine, they're very upset. I spoke with Derek Van Treese, the son of Barry, who was the one who was killed. He says, this is 27 years we've been trying to seek justice, and every time we think we're getting closer, something like this happens.